How does a kid, born dirt poor in one of the most dangerous hoods in America, go from having nothing to making $100 million while trapped inside his own house? I'm talking about a man who owned real tigers, a $5.5 million mansion, over $1 million in cars he couldn't even drive, and $6 million in jewelry, all while being stuck under house arrest, NO tours, NO performances, NO freedom. But still making more money than rappers who are free. That's not luck. That's pure genius. And that man is NBA YoungBoy. This isn't just a story about going from rags to riches. This is a story about survival, about a kid who turned pain into power and built an empire from a prison cell. Today, we're breaking down how a kid from the trenches of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, who watched his father get sentenced to 55 years in prison, rose from the bottom and became one of the richest young rappers alive. Let's rewind. Baton Rouge, Louisiana. October 20th, 1999. A baby named Kentrell Deshaun Gaulden is born into chaos. This wasn't your regular, we struggled a little kind of story. This was real poverty. The kind where you don't know where your next meal is coming from at a just 4 years old. Kentrell broke his neck in a wrestling accident. Doctors had to fit him a metal brace to heal his spine. Those scars you see on his forehead today, that's from that brace, his first battle wound before he even started school. But physical pain was nothing compared to what came next. His father, Jeffrey, got sentenced to 55 years in prison for robbery. 55 years. Gone, that's not just a sentence. That's a lifetime. From that moment, Kentrell grew up without a father figure, no guidance. No protection. Just survival. His mom, Sharonda, eventually left him to care of his grandmother, Alice Gaulden, the only person who truly loved and protected him. She was his mom, dad, and safe place all in one, but tragedy struck again when Kentrell was just 10 years old. His grandmother died of heart failure, leaving him completely alone in the world. That's when everything changed. Kentrell was sent to a group home, and he said it himself, "I used to get beat up in there for no reason. I'd look up like, 'Why are you hitting me, bro?' Imagine being 10 years old, losing the only person who cared for you, and then being jumped by other kids every day. That pain, that trauma, it hardens you. It turns innocence into armor. That moment. Kentrell wasn't just surviving the streets, he was surviving life itself. The spark that changed everything after losing his grandmother, life hit YoungBoy harder than ever. He dropped out of school in the 9th grade. Not because he wanted to, but because the streets became his classroom. Just 14 years old. He got arrested for robbery and sent to a juvenile detention center in Tallulah, Louisiana. Cold walls. No freedom. No comfort. Just silence and pain. But that's where something powerful happened. Inside that small cell, surrounded by concrete and regret, YoungBoy started writing songs. Not for fame. Not for clout, he wrote, because it was the only way to survive. Every lyric was pain. Every bar was truth. That's when Life Before Fame was born, his first mixtape, written in the darkness of confinement. That's when Kentrell realized, music isn't just a dream, it's my only way out. When he got out, he moved in with his homie NBA 33 and 33's mom, Monique, who became his second mother. But money was tight. Studio time wasn't free there, so they did whatever it took. Hustling, robbing, flipping whatever they could just to pay for studio sessions. This wasn't about playing rapper. It was life or death. That'd be why 2015, at only 15 years old, he dropped his first official mixtape, Life Before Fame. Then came on a Menace 1, 2, and 3. Raw, emotional, real. He flooded YouTube with truth that no fake. Stories. No gimmicks. Just pain turned into poetry. And the people felt it. Kids from the same struggle saw themselves in him. That'd be why 2016, his mixtape 38 Baby exploded. Millions of views. Millions of believers. Baton Rouge knew him. Then Louisiana. Then the entire South. A 16-year-old kid who used to sleep on couches was suddenly becoming a star. From couches to contract in 2017, everything changed. Music executive Mike Caron from Atlantic Records heard the buzz and made the call that YoungBoy signed a 5-album deal worth $2 million. For a kid who came from nothing, that wasn't just a record deal. That was freedom. That was redemption. The first thing he did, he went back to his neighborhood and gave away $20,000 in cash. Stacks of the same people who watched him grow up with nothing. That's real. He never forgot where he came from. Then came Untouchable, his first viral hit after getting out of jail in 2017, then Outside Today in 2018. Quadruple platinum, Billboard Hot 100, his debut album. Until Death Called My Name, debuted at number 7 on Billboard 200. YoungBoy was no longer surviving. He was winning. He bought houses, moved his mom out the hood, took care of his brothers, his homies, everyone who was there when he had nothing. That NBA stood for Never Broke Again, and he made sure nobody around him would ever be broke again either. The law versus the legend. But success came with heat. The streets don't forget, and neither do the feds. That I end November 2016, before a show in Austin, Texas. U.S. Marshals arrested him for 2 counts of attempted murder. He was only 17 years old. Facing decade behind bars, his future was hanging by a thread. But here's the thing. Money changes everything to YoungBoy hired top lawyers. The best his new fortune could buy. After 6 months in jail, he walked free with a suspended 10-year sentence. That's when people started to understand this kid wasn't just talented. He was protected by power and paper. A poor kid with a public defender? He'd be gone forever. But a millionaire with elite attorneys? He walks. That's the American system. Brutal but real. He kept catching cases. 2018, 2019, 2020 arrests, probation violations. But he always fought back. Every time the system tried to bury him, he came out stronger. Then in 2021, everything hit a peak after a car chase with the feds. He was facing serious federal gun charges. IT could have been over. But in July 2022, the impossible happened. Not guilty. He was released a house arrest in Utah. A mansion in the mountains became his new cell. He couldn't leave, couldn't perform, couldn't even walk down his own driveway. Most rappers would have faded away. But YoungBoy said one thing. Watch me. NBA YoungBoy. The $160 million story. Let that sink in for a second. $100 million. Made while locked inside his own house. That's not luck. That's next level hustle. So how did NBA YoungBoy pull this off? Let's break it down. First, he sold a portion of his music catalog from Atlantic Records, a smart move that gave him instant cash flow. Then he signed a massive multi-million-dollar deal with Capitol Records, reportedly worth between $40 and $60 million. But the money wasn't the craziest part. The grind was that in 2023 alone, while stuck on house arrest, NBA YoungBoy dropped 121 songs. 121 tracks. That's more than Drake and Kendrick Lamar combined in a single year. He was releasing music faster than fans could even keep up. His YouTube channel alone generated nearly 38% of his total income, around $4 million a year just from ad revenue. Over 15 billion total views across streaming platforms. Every play, every stream, every single view was another dollar in his pocket. While other rappers were on tour, chasing shows and promoters, YoungBoy was locked in, literally, creating hit after hit inside his mansion. Then came another power move. He re-signed with Atlantic Records for around $60 million before switching to Motown after a bidding war. Labels couldn't resist him. Even trapped inside his home, he was still dominating the charts. IT left the entire industry asking one question. How is someone making $100 million without even leaving the house? That's the power of the internet age. A YoungBoy didn't need a tour to build a digital empire, connecting directly to millions of fans through YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, and social media. That's not just smart. That's revolutionary. He took a situation that was supposed to destroy his career and turn it into the most profitable year of his life. That's what Never Broke Again really means. From tigers to tanks, the millionaire in lockdown. So, what do you do when you're making millions while trapped inside a mansion? You buy wild stuff. Literally that. Let's start with the tigers. Yeah, tigers. Plural at in 2017. YoungBoy posted a video sitting on his couch with a white tiger cub beside him. A white tiger. One of the rarest animals in the world. Born only once in every 10,000 Bengal tiger births. And he didn't stop there. He had 2. One white, one orange, straight up Mike Tyson energy at T1 point. Rapper Rick Ross even revealed that the tiger ended up at his mansion through Meek Mill. Eventually, the tiger was seized by Louisiana authorities for neglect, a sad twist in an otherwise legendary story. Then came the horses. While under house arrest in Utah, YoungBoy learned to ride, a symbol of peace, freedom, and a life far away from the chaos of Baton Rouge. But the wildest purchase? A tank. Yes, an actual military tank, parked outside his multi-million-dollar mansion. While other rappers were buying Lumbos, YoungBoy was parking an armored vehicle that's different. His car collection alone was worth over $1.3 million, including McLaren GT, Rolls-Royce Cullinan, Maybach S580, Bentley Continental GT, Dodge Hellcats, Tesla Model S, Corvette Z06, and a Chevrolet Suburban. Most of them were white, his signature style. But here's the tragic twist. In a Billboard interview, YoungBoy admitted he wanted to sell all his cars. Why? Because he couldn't even drive them. House arrest kept him locked away. Millions in luxury, but nowhere to go. That's the irony of his success. His Utah mansion, nicknamed Gravedigger Mountain, sat on nearly 1.5 acres with heated driveways, an elevator, 5-car garages, a pool, and panoramic mountain views that end February 2024. He finally listed it for $5.5 million, closing the chapter on 2 years of confinement. Freedom and fortune. After more than 2 years of isolation, NBA YoungBoy finally got his freedom back. And what did he do next? He hit the road. Now he's on a global tour projected to earn $60 million. Think about that. He made $100 million while stuck at home, and another $60 million once he stepped outside. That's $160 million from a 25-year-old who started with nothing. The demand is insane. Fans waited years to see him perform live, and the moment tour dates dropped, shows sold out in minutes. Arenas are packed. Thousands screaming every word, every lyric, every story he ever told. These aren't casual fans. These are diehards. People who felt his pain, his trauma, his struggle. People who grew up listening to him while fighting their own demons. And now they finally get to see the man behind the music. The price of success. But here's the thing about all this fame and fortune. It still can't buy you peace. That same Billboard interview. YoungBoy said something that stopped the world for a second. I'm terrified of people. I'm very shy. I'm scared of people and my kids. Imagine that, a man worth $160 million, selling out arenas, yet still terrified of the world around him. That's what trauma does. Money can't erase no mansion, no chain, no sold-out show can heal those wounds that YoungBoy's lived through pain most people couldn't survive. He lost his father, his grandmother, his childhood, and still became one of the biggest artists on earth. Now, with 11 children and a legacy that stretches across generations, he's trying to give them what he never had: stability, safety, and love. Even behind bars, he gave back, funding school drives for kids, donating supplies, helping his community. That's real. Never broke again. The legacy. If you told that 10-year-old boy, the one who just lost his grandmother, the one getting beat up in group homes, the one with nothing but pain, if you told him that one day he'd make $160 million, own tigers, tanks, and mansions, and become one of the biggest rappers in the world, he probably wouldn't believe you. But that's exactly what he did. NBA YoungBoy didn't just beat the odds, he rewrote them. From sleeping on couches to building empires, from juvenile detention to global domination, from life before fame to living proof that impossible could become inevitable, he is the definition of never broke again. And even with all the scars, all the pain, and all the paranoia, his story remains one of the most inspiring in hip-hop history. Because no matter how dark it got, NBA YoungBoy never stopped fighting, never stopped creating, and never stopped proving that the hustle never ends at no cap.